Maybe you've been watching videos like this for a while now. You've heard the Bitcoin story, you understand the halving, you believe in the scarcity, you get it. But you look at your bank account, and then you look at the price of Bitcoin, and a quiet voice in your head says, I missed it. The big gains are gone. What's the point of owning just a tiny fraction? Today I want to answer that question directly, with real numbers, with real data, and with a perspective that most people in this space completely overlook. Because 0.01 Bitcoin, a fraction most people would barely glance at, may be one of the most statistically significant financial positions a regular person can hold in 2026. And I'm going to show you exactly why. As of 2026, an estimated 480 to 500 million people worldwide own Bitcoin in some form. That sounds like a lot, 500 million people, surely the early days are over. But here's where it gets interesting. Of those 500 million people, the vast majority own tiny, almost negligible amounts, dust, fractions of fractions, bought through a fintech app, forgotten about, barely tracked. The number of wallets holding 0.01 Bitcoin or more, the threshold we are talking about today, is approximately 200 million wallets globally, out of 8 billion people on this planet. 200 million. That is 2.5% of the world's population that owns even this modest amount. And it gets more exclusive the further up you go. Owning 0.1 Bitcoin, 10 times what we are discussing today, already places you in the top 10% of all Bitcoin holders globally. Owning one full Bitcoin, there are fewer than 1 million wallets on Earth that hold that amount, fewer than 1 million, in a world of 8 billion people. Let that land for a moment, because what it tells you is this: we are nowhere near late. The majority of humanity has not arrived yet, and the supply is not waiting for them. Now let us talk numbers, because you need to understand what 0.01 Bitcoin actually represents in concrete terms, today and in the future. At today's price, 0.01 Bitcoin is roughly $900 to $1,000. Less than a month's car payment, less than a weekend trip, less than most people spend on things they cannot name 3 months later. But let us run the future scenarios. And I want to be clear, these are projections, not guarantees. No one knows exactly where Bitcoin goes, but we can look at the analyst consensus and model it honestly. At $200,000 per Bitcoin, a price that multiple institutional analysts consider a realistic mid-cycle target, your 0.01 Bitcoin is worth $2,000. At $500,000 per coin, the level that several long-term models have consistently pointed toward, that same 0.01 Bitcoin is worth $5,000. At $1 million per Bitcoin, a target named publicly by figures including Robert Kiyosaki, Arthur Hayes, and multiple algorithmic models projecting through to 2030, your 0.01 Bitcoin is worth $10,000. Now, $10,000 is not retirement money on its own. I am not going to insult your intelligence and pretend it is. But here is the real point, and this is what almost nobody talks about. 0.01 Bitcoin is not the destination. It is the proof of concept. It is the habit. It is the starting position that you build from. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, a man who has studied wealth creation for decades, said publicly in 2025 that even 0.01 Bitcoin could make you rich. Not because of what it is worth today, but because of what acquiring it proves about you, that you understand scarcity, that you can delay gratification, that you are positioning yourself on the right side of the coming monetary shift. Let me give you a perspective that will reframe this entirely. There are 8 billion people on Earth. Roughly 3.5 billion of those are adults with any meaningful participation in the financial system. If every one of those 3.5 billion adults tried to buy 0.01 Bitcoin, just 1% of a coin, there is not enough Bitcoin in existence to supply them all. Not even close. The total supply of Bitcoin is 21 million coins, divided into 0.01 lots. That is 2.1 billion possible positions at that size, for 3.5 billion financially active adults. That means, if demand ever approaches anything close to universal, there is not enough 0.01 Bitcoin for everyone who wants it. And now look at what is happening on the demand side right now. Bitcoin ETFs in the United States absorbed more than 1.3 million Bitcoin in their first 15 months of operation, representing 6% of the entire supply. Corporations, nation-states, and sovereign wealth funds are accumulating. Analysts have Bitcoin price forecasts for 2026 ranging from $75,000 to $225,000, and that is the conservative institutional range. The demand is real, it is accelerating, and the supply does not move. Now I want to address the people who feel genuinely behind, because I know you are out there. Maybe you heard about Bitcoin in 2017 and did not act. Maybe you bought some in 2021 and sold at a loss. Maybe you are only just now taking this seriously, and the voice in your head keeps saying the same thing: it is too late. I want you to hear this clearly. The people who bought 0.01 Bitcoin in 2015 when it cost $3.70 total, they did not feel like they were making a historic decision. They felt exactly like you feel right now. Uncertain, late, unsure if it mattered. The people who bought in 2018 during the crash, when Bitcoin had dropped 80% and everyone was calling it dead, they felt exactly like you feel right now. The people who bought in 2022 at $16,000, terrified during the FTX collapse and the darkest sentiment in years, they felt exactly like you feel right now. Feeling late is a permanent feature of Bitcoin. It never goes away, because the price is always higher than where it started, and the supply is always smaller than it was before. The only move that guarantees you miss it is not starting. So here is the practical plan for anyone, anywhere in the world, at any income level. Step 1. Start with whatever you can, not what you think is impressive, not what some influencer says is the minimum worth owning. Whatever you can genuinely set aside without it causing you stress. Even $50 a month buys you real sats, real position, real skin in the game. Step 2. Know your target. 0.01. Bitcoin is not your goal. It is your first milestone. From there, the targets are 0.05, then 0.1, then beyond. Each level you reach puts you in a smaller and smaller global percentile. Each level compounds the potential outcome. Step 3. Know your retirement number, because accumulating Bitcoin without a clear target is just hoping. The Bitcoin retirement calculator at marketupdateshq.com is built exactly for this. Enter your age, your income target, your current stack, and get your specific number. Make it real, make it personal, because a target you can see is a target you can actually reach. Step 4. Get it off exchanges. Whatever you accumulate, move it to self-custody on a hardware wallet, because Bitcoin sitting on an exchange is not truly yours. It is an IOU. And when this market moves, and history says it will, exchanges get congested, withdrawals get delayed, and access gets complicated at exactly the wrong moment. Own your keys. Own your coins. Is 0.01 Bitcoin too late? The data says no. The supply mathematics say no. The global ownership statistics say no. 200 million wallets hold this amount, out of 8 billion people, and that number is still growing, which means the window, while not permanent, is still open. The question was never whether 0.01 Bitcoin is life-changing. The question is whether you will still own it when the answer becomes obvious to everyone. Go to marketupdateshq.com, run the Bitcoin retirement calculator, start your stack. That's it for today's updates. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.